aim to motivate and inspire viewers to enjoy the clothes they wear as an expression of their personality and their beliefs. This is the Slow Wardrobe. Come and have a look. Hello, welcome to episode 76 of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. My name is Linda and I am your host. In this episode, I'll give you an update on the knitting and crocheting I've been doing for the last 2 weeks. Yep, I've got a crochet bug which I have to share with you, followed by a very short section with a nice little example of a visible mend on a Layercake pocket. And then we dive into the biggest section of the episode, which is the 4 new colors of love dresses and tulip dresses that I've currently got on pre-order until the 5th of September. And I'll show you the different colors, and I combine them with lots of different layer cakes that may or may not already be in your wardrobe to show you how to inspire you, how to combine them and integrate them in your existing wardrobe. But first of all, the knitting and crochet. Yes, so behind me here you see the Howling of Wolves jumper that I've been working on for the last couple of episodes. And you may remember that I had just started the wolves last time I recorded, and I've added a considerable length to that. After completing the wolves, I separated the sleeves and the body, as you can see, and then there are 3 more motifs on the body. I'm repeating this leaf pattern or tree pattern here, and then I'm onto the ribbing. It's got a nice wide rib, and the pattern allows for me to block it out in a way that I achieve my slight A-line, which you know I favor for my jumpers. And I'm going to consider putting in some extra rows in the back to have the back slightly longer than the front. I on purpose haven't put any short rows in the middle of my motifs. I just kept going with my motifs, and then when my motifs are done, then I'm going to try on the jumper, see how it sits, how long it's going to be, and then decide whether I'm going to put some short German short rows in the back panel to drop the back of the jumper and have that slightly shorter in the front and slightly longer in the back. But it depends a little bit, because you can see that this is going to be quite a wide jumper, and I may decide that I quite like that boxy look without adding a shorter front and a longer back to it as well. I'll see, and I'll keep you posted on what I'm going to do. Now, I think I could have finished this panel already if it weren't for, or the body of the jumper already, if it weren't for the fact that I got bitten by a crochet bug. A lady who lives in the village here offered me a particular lot, if you like 17 or 18 kilos of very thin linen yarn that is meant to be woven into linen fabric. I have no idea what I'm going to be able to do with it yet, but at the moment I am putting it through its paces. I'm going to try and spin with it. A friend of mine has already woven with it, and in future episodes I'll be able to show you what it weaves up like. I'm going to knit with it, crochet with it, and even sew with it, because it is so incredibly fine that I think it might even go through a sewing machine. If not that, then hand sewing. So watch this space for that at some point in the future. But the same lady, when she came to drop off the linen yarn for me to start playing with, I noticed that she was wearing a little bag, a crossbody bag that looked like it had been crocheted. So I asked what it was, and she said, oh, I was given this by a Colombian friend, and It's a very popular shape and it's a very common type of bag to exist in Colombia, and it's getting more well known here in the West. So with that information, of course, I went online afterwards. I thought I've got to find out more about this and what these bags are. So I'm going to show you some of the bags here. I think they're called Wayu bags. I don't know if I pronounce that correctly, so I'll put the names and the descriptions in the bar below as well. They're very often very wildly colored, and they used to very often in the past be made out of linen. And of course, I've got my own linen 3-ply, so I immediately started coveting the little bag that she was wearing, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna make a little bag crocheted that I'll be able to wear crossbody for my phone. My phone and I are inseparable. I do a lot of business type stuff on my phone. It really is a satellite of my computer. And of course, most of the time I have it in one of my Layercake pockets. But it's a big phone, so, and one phone in one pocket, depending on how oversized the Layercake garment is that I'm wearing, I may end up skewing my dress, for example, the yellow dress that I have that is a size 2, little bit roomy on me around the bust, so that ends up kind of slowly like traveling towards my left shoulder and down if I just have my heavy phone in my pocket. So I thought an alternative pocket that I'm carrying crossbody for my phone. What a fun project. Also, I have never actually tried crocheting with my own linen yarn. Shame on me, right? So I found a free pattern on Ravelry for one of these bags, and traditionally they tend to have a round bottom and then they get shaped up into this little ball shape. So I ended up starting my project with a round bottom, gauging without following a clear pattern how big my base needed to be before I started to work up the sides, and then started to work up the sides. So after having done that for some length, I'll be able to show you exactly how far. Here's my base. About little over 4 inches in diameter, I would have thought. And I thought, well, that'll work with my phone. So I then rounded the corner and started to work up. And of course, you automatically start working up if you stop increasing. If you would see this up close, it consists of 7 panels where you gradually increase from the center outwards. You're just constantly crocheting in the round. And once you stop increasing, then of course you automatically go round and start working up. So once I started to work up, I realized that actually this was going to be a relatively big bag if I flatten out that round base. Plus the roundness of that base, I thought, no, actually this is going to look really messy because my crocheting is quite tight on purpose because I wanted to achieve that kind of fabric. So it's my 3-ply linen yarn and then crocheted on a 2mm hook. So I thought, okay, I'm going to cut my losses, literally. I'm going to just turn this into a little yarn ball by giving it a contrasted edge. Just as a finish, I have to weave in my ends, one end here and an end there. I crocheted in the other 2 ends already as I was going. And the other thing to show you actually here is a progress keeper that I've just bought. It is stunning. I really recommend you have a look. It is made by Malika. Her name is not Malika, her name is Suraya, but Malika is the name of the website. They are all gorgeous handmade progress keepers and stitch markers and jewelry that are made of combination of metals, silver, some of them beautiful little crystals, etc. They're gorgeous. Anyway, she announced a sale. I think it's still on at the moment. If it is, I'll put the details down in the down bar. But have a look at the gorgeous progress keepers like this one and stitch markers. So I bought this and some more as well. But this one, I had it stuck to my little baggie here so it wouldn't get lost in my bigger bag, because I moved on to bag version 2. Realized that I didn't want it too roomy or too poofy, but I did want to stick with that same sturdy fabric. So I stuck with my 2mm hook. I made an elongated, a long rectangular base, and then again rounded the corner, started working up. So now I'm about 2 inches and a bit up the sides, and I've got another, well, at least 3 inches I think to go. I made the bag a little bit wider than my phone so that I can put some other stuff in as well. I may end up crocheting an extra pocket on the inside, for example, for cards or anything like that, or tissues probably in my case. And it's going to be roomy enough to put some other things in, maybe sunglasses, and it'll be a little crossbody bag. This is in undyed linen. Got my little ball here, like little hand wound ball. I love hand winding the linen. I really adore the shapes that you get. I put a little reel of it on Instagram earlier this week or at the weekend, I don't remember. But anyway, so that's why my beautiful jumper got completely deserted. I have been crocheting like absolute mad since the weekend, and this is all I have to show for it. I'm not that fast with my crocheting, not compared to knitting anyway. And I want to make sure that I try and make my fabric as even as possible. So I'm not trying to rush things. It needs to look good rather than fast. And I haven't quite made up my mind yet as to whether I'm going to add some other colors. I really quite like the yellow coming in here, but I also quite like to keep things quite neutral with this bag. So I haven't decided. Let me know what you think. Should I add any color? If so, which? If I don't get any comments, I'll keep going as I go, unless I change my mind, which is known to happen, I immediately admit. So, depending on how I go, I hopefully 2 weeks from now, when episode 77 airs, I'll be back on my jumper and I'll have a beautiful little bag to show you. Fingers crossed. We'll see how I go. And that's all I have to show for in terms of knitting progress. I'm wearing my beautiful Mara shawl that I already showed you last time, that I finished recently. I'm rather besotted, not just with this new linen color magenta that you'll see a lot more of in the Layercake section, but also the combination of magenta with the natural undyed wool. Not that this is completely undyed, of course it's got some color variation in it, but you know what I mean, the creaminess of these colors together with the white of the linen. And white linen isn't completely white, it's more like a milky white, and that milky white together with magenta I think is beautiful. Anyway, that's it for my knitting and my crochet. On we go with a very short section on a visible mend that hopefully inspire you to mend your own layer cakes when they start falling apart on you, which eventually they will, especially if you wear them lots. Here we go. So, a quick repair on Layercake owned by one of my customers, Caitlin. It is a playsuit that we figured out must be about 5 years old. It used to be black, and it's been worn and washed and loved almost to death. So it looks more like a dark gray by now rather than a black. And the pockets, where the pockets attach at the top corners, I'll show you a picture of it here. The two corners of the pockets that are closest to the front had both been wearing thin, just the fabric of the play suit as well, just above the pocket. So the pockets were still properly attached, but the fabric just above it was starting to wear. Of course, from putting lots of things in pockets, in and out, etc. So that's what had happened with those two corners. So she had already said to me that she didn't mind at all if the repair was visible. So rather than try to hide it, which would not have been very hard at all, I decided to do a slight embellishment on the play suit. So I started with detaching the corner of the pocket, just that top corner that is still very neatly in place, and just detach that for the first 2 inches or so that I could get behind the corner of the pocket and do the repairs above and around it. So with the pocket little bit detached and out of the way, it then allowed me to take a small square, and I'm literally talking about something that is like 1 by 2 inches or something like that, of dark gray. I'm saying dark gray, but I mean charcoal, the charcoal cross weave linen. I cut a small piece of it, 1 by 2 inches approximately, like I said, and I pinned it behind the piece of wear in the fabric, and then literally under the sewing machine with a zigzag went over the little area a couple of times so that all the fibers that were loose and starting to fray were caught on top of the charcoal behind it. So that means that I now have a stable flat fabric and it can't gape anymore because all the fibers have been caught by a sturdy piece behind it. I then cut 2 little squares, each of them about 2 by 2 inches, and I put 1 square on the fabric on top of the visible mend, but only about half and half covering it, and then another square that I staggered in front of it, and 1 by 1 I sewed the outlines of the squares with a fancy stitch that I found on my sewing machine. Could have been a zigzag that would have worked as well, and I just went around the outside edges of the fabric, put the second little patch on top, went around the outside of that, and then folded my pocket back in place and sewed the corner of the pocket back. So the result is here. I'll show you how we started with the little hole and then show you the repair again as well. Now, not only does it look kind of fun and funky without making the contrast too obvious, I didn't want to make it so obvious that by putting on a completely different color, all of a sudden she may feel restricted in the other colors that she combines when she wears it. So this is still just as neutral yet visible. It is a fun repair, but it also means that there are a couple of layers of fabric on top of each other now behind the corner of that pocket. So it has strengthened the play suit as well, and that wear will not easily come back. I just wanted to give you one example of how a visible mend like that can be done without making it too obvious, yet make it visible and gain some proper extra strength behind the corner of that pocket. So again, as always, I hope this inspires you to mend your layer cakes. If you have any layer cakes that are broken or damaged and you don't know how to go about mending them, drop me a line. I can give you some hints and tips. I'm happy to send some fabric swatches if that's what you need, and we'll take it from there. For now, though, without further ado, here we are with layer cake. Enjoy. A pre-order of dresses. I'm starting with the one that was already in the collection, but that I've pulled across to not only offer as a tulip anymore, but also as a love dress. Now I will try to remember to tell you with all the colors that I go through, whether they are the heavier weight or the lighter weight. This is dark moth. It is a cross weave of black and a very muted kind of mauve color. I will show you a swatch of it here where I've pulled out some of the threads so you can see the kind of color of mauve that's in there. And I'll also show that right next to the moth color, because of course we've got moth and dark moth. Moth, as you can see, is a cross weave of green and that mauve color, and dark moth takes that same mauve color and combines it with black. Now that same green is in the one of the other colors that, or two of the other colors rather, that is part of this special dress pre-order, which are apple and sage. Of course, I'm going to talk about them in detail later, but that same green that's in moth that's the same green that's in sage and the same green that's in apple. And again, that's why all the colors go together. They have shades in common. Those same colors are also in the small check, for example, which I'll show you. But back to the dark moth. The dark moth is the one color that I will not be able to show you yet as a love dress. I'm saying the one color, it's not true. It's two of the colors that I can't show you as a love dress, this one and the apple, literally because they haven't been finished yet in time for this podcast and I didn't want to hold them up any longer. But by the time this podcast airs, there may be pictures of an apple dress and a dark moth dress in the love dress version on the website. So I'll do my best to make that happen. Meanwhile, though, I'm sure you've got enough imagination to get an idea of what this looks like as a love dress. The same color, the dark moth. And I will now show it to you with a couple of other garments before I go on to the next color of the dresses. So dark moth combined with the first one I'm going to grab is the heather stripe, which of course is one of the colors that we offer as a love top. So let me show a heather stripe love top with this dress. I completely forgot to tell you what sizes I'm wearing. The dress is a size 2 regular, and I was wearing that over the top of a size 0 jersey love top. So the size 0 very fitted on me, but not too tight. It's one size down from my regular size, which is a 1. And this is a size 1 love top. In the heather stripe, specifically showing this to you to show you how well it goes with dark moth. So the heather stripe, the starling stripe that we had as one of the colors in the play suits recently and in the dusters, starling stripe goes extremely well too with the dark moth. So starling, heather, they all have a mauvey kind of color to them. They go beautifully with dark moth. So I have put the love top over the top of the tulip dress here, but of course I can also put it underneath. Let me show you. Love top in heather worn underneath a tulip dress. Lovely combination, of course, and that idea of a tulip dress and a love top together, it kind of makes the silhouette of a love dress. And that, of course, is also very similar to the top of the wrap dress that we've just introduced. I'm going to grab a wrap dress to put over the top of this to show you how well they go together. Just throwing this on like a duster. If I pull the sleeves of my heather top through the sleeves of the dress, I can then of course turn them up to make them pop out and show them a little bit more, and then the wrap dress is just hanging there then like a beautiful swaggery duster, which I can then of course tie up like this and have it hang like such. Of course, we've got the pockets in the tulip dress, but then we also have the big pockets in the side seam of the wrap dress, so pockets galore. And you can see this is my hand completely spread out. They are huge pockets, big pockets like you are used to from us, so you can put loads in. I can actually try and show you one. There we are, big pocket. And of course I can tie this up a little bit more. Where is my little loopy? Oh, of course I'm going the wrong way. I'm thinking, why have I got a label rather than a loop? That would be because my loop is on the right side. Funny that. So you go right over left, of course. So when you're tying it up, you first tie up the left panel on the right hand side. And as you can see, I'm doing that loose on purpose. And then going really loosely to the outside, of course, of the left. And then making a very loose tie here, just to show you how cool it looks to have that wrap dress hang open with something else underneath, rather than tying it up and making that beautiful little tighter princess line. I'm going for that really loose look. And this is another good example where you can see that if you are on the cusp between sizes, you can size down in the wrap dress, because just an inch looser on either side gives you still plenty of overlap here in the front, but it means that you have that fitted look without tying the dress tight all the way. There's lots and lots of fabric in it, so you don't have to worry that it'll be too tight anywhere else. Lots of fabric in every size, really. But if you size down, don't worry about that. And if you're not sure about that, give me a shout, and of course I'm happy to help with it. The wrap dresses are still available. We're in the middle of producing them when this is being recorded, but that little production run will have finished by the time this podcast airs. So the production discount, the pre-order discount is not there anymore, but we still have the fabric available, so we can make you a dress, and I'll make sure that I keep a couple of them in stock to bring to Yarndale later on in September, because for those of you who've already asked me and those of you who are wondering, yes, we'll be back at Yarndale, and I'll be back in my old spot where I have that big square stand. Maybe you remember it. It's stand number B11. We've got a big square stand, and Sharon will be there with all her 5 Moons yarns. Of course, I'm bringing all my yarns, so it'll be a lovely mixed stand where we show off all the knits together and combined with all the linen. And I'm bringing any wool layer cakes that I've got ready for winter with me as well to show you there. Got some new things lined up that I hope to have with me as well at Yarndale, but definitely some wrap dresses. So enough about the wrap dresses. Of course, one of the colors that looks wonderful with anything in the purplish spectrum is to go in the opposite direction into the greens. So what I wanted to show you in combination with the dark moth is the green and the chartreuse, because they are just so lush. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Slowly sizing up with my love tops. I started in the white, which was a size 0. Then I had the linen one on in the heather stripe that was a size 1, and this is a size 2. Now remember, I'm wearing that underneath a size 2 dress, which is why this flows all very smoothly. If I put a size 2 stretchy top on and I then put a size 1 dress, then of course the dress will nip in the top a little bit, not to the point that you think, oh my gosh, it looks too bulky. But do be aware, this very smooth line, of course, is a result of top and dress being exactly the same size. So the chartreuse, beautifully bright and really fresh, and doesn't it tone well with the dark moth, with that mauvey color. Now, I can bring that back, of course, in the outfit by grabbing something more in the green spectrum underneath and combine that and pull the outfit together more, other than, you know, with any of the colors that are in my crazy scarf. My hair is doing its own thing today, so I've decided to let it, but hence keeping it out of my face with a scarfie. So let me add a bottom that really nicely complements this outfit. Here are a pair of herringbone baggies in apple. So they've got that nice lively grassy green in them, but that gets toned down a little bit with the natural undyed linen color that they are woven together with. As you may remember, all the herringbones are a cross weave of natural and another color, in this case the apple green. So the green pulling the outfit together and then mirroring the lushness and the fruitiness of the chartreuse. So moving on from there, of course, you can keep layering. You can add more layers to that. For example, grabbing one of the festive dusters that we are bringing back this festive season. I've got some more of the fabric, so might as well share it with you. And they went down a treat last year, so they'll be back to order later on in the season. I'll do a pre-order discount on them, maybe like October time, so bear with me on that one. But meanwhile, of course, there was this beautiful mercury color, the darker color, but we had that really light color as well. Let me grab it. And the reason I wanted to show that again is because, of course, one of the colors in that is the undyed linen, which, of course, I've got in the apple of my baggies as well. So this is toning down the chartreuse. It's not quite as in your face anymore, but bringing the softness of the trousers back in the top. And by having those colors in common with the different bits and pieces, you end up with a glorious combination of colors and all kind of brought together in an outfit that sits together both in terms of shape, which of course all the layer cakes do, that's how I design them, but also in the color families and in the color story. So I could replace this duster with the darker one. It would still go really nicely because, of course, the dark color in the duster comes back in the black of the dark moth. So, as I always say, you can almost grab blind and put a nice outfit together of colors that just work and zing together. So, if I move on to the next color in the story today, let's have another look at apple. I've now got these apple baggies on, so how about combining that with an apple dress? Let's go. Apple tulip dress, still the regular length. I'm going to show you one of the dresses in the petite length as well in a minute, and then comparing it with the regular length so that you are reminded of how they relate to each other. There's 4 inches in between the lengths, and on me, the regular length is about mid-calf. So if you are like 5'6" and down, then it'll creep closer to your ankles and it'll be closer to what the long dress is on me. But here's the regular length dress with the apple baggies. You can see how much softer the apple in the baggies is because of the addition of the undyed linen in the herringbone, but how beautifully they color together with the dress. Now, you may remember this color. The apple has been a really popular color amongst the smocks and the tabars, where we've had this color for a number of years already now, and I'm delighted to bring it to the Tulip and Love Dress. I'm wearing the size 2 here, so you can see that the armhole is quite generous on me because of the bigger size. If I go down to my regular size 1, of course, then the armhole will get a little bit smaller as well. But I don't really mind these kind of loose armholes, especially with the warm weather. And then by putting either a duster on top or one of the love tops, for example, you can add a thin layer thinking towards autumn and towards cooler weather without getting too warm. Of course, if it warms up again, I can lose the baggies, but I could also like bring back the love top, for example, the heather love top that I was wearing in combination with the dark moth dress. Why don't I show you? Because again, you get that green and purple playing together and it just looks so nice. So here it comes. Apple and the heather stripe. Aren't they lovely together? Of course, the heather tones down the apple a little bit, as do the baggies. Now, if you like this kind of green, but you think, still a bit on the bright side for me, then of course you can combine it with more neutral colors to tone it down further. Or you could think about sage, because sage is a cross weave of apple and undyed, but not in a herringbone, but apple and undyed as a flat weave. Do you want to see it? Okay, here it comes. Size 1 love dress in the sage regular length, worn together with the apple baggies, the apple herringbone baggies. And here you can see how close they are in color, because they are made of the same two colors. And look at the difference of the weave, the difference the weave makes to the impression of the color. They're close, but not the same. The apple baggies end up looking slightly brighter somehow. And it is because there is more green yarn that is uninterrupted by the undyed, because of the herringbone weave. I'll show you a close-up here of the herringbone and the flat weaves next to each other, so you can see how different the colors look as a result. But I love the combination of these different weaves, but then made up out of the same colors, and the different kind of texture and effect that you get, as well as how different the fabric moves. So both the apple and the sage are in the heavier weight linen as well. So the warmer weight that we've used for most of the play suits and all the tunics, for example, although I have been slowly bringing in more of the lighter weight linen, because we're starting to make more voluminous garments like the wrap dress, but also because I realized that that medium weight linen is for a lot of climates a better year-round option. It can be layered more easily, and not everything has to be super, super hard wearing the way that we planned our tunics to be when we started with the tunics. For those of you who haven't known Layercake for that long yet, it started as a very small capsule collection of apron style tunics that were made out of super hard wearing linen, with the idea that you would just throw one on over the top of whatever you were wearing, have a pair of big pockets, and have something that was very hard wearing, could easily be washed and thrown in the dryer, and would go for years. That was our starting point, and everything else has been gradually spinning off from that. So it's grown into a brand, but only very slowly. It's all been organic growth, fueled by your purchases. I don't do any big promotions and things like that, so I always call myself the smallest brand. My background is in fashion and fashion technology, and that's why I know a lot about fabrics, etc. But I've always loathed the fashion industry and how it plays on our insecurities and how it undermines our confidence about our bodies, our love for our bodies, which are our vessels, for goodness sake. They are the most important thing that we have, and boy, do we abuse them. So, back off my soapbox. With Layercake, I try to bring back the joy and the playfulness into your wardrobe, together with giving you choices of garments that are very easy and comfortable to wear, and that you don't have to play a role for. You just throw them on and be yourself. You can forget about your body, and whenever you look in the mirror, you think, oh, that looks nice. That's the idea behind it all, and the clothes need to serve you, not the other way around. So, another little soapbox. I'm on one today, so bear with me. Anyway, Sage Love Dress. So this is also available as a tulip dress. Again, I haven't got one to show you because I haven't made one yet. But again, you can imagine what it's like. A little bit like the apple tulip dress was, but then in that muted color. So if muted colors are your thing, then this will work a treat. And one thing that I specifically wanted to show it with to you is the natural check, because the natural check has got a couple of little checks in it that have a greenishness about them. So let me grab a garment that shows how well the natural check and the sage go together. So here is the Synergy duster. Remember that with the dusters, we've got them with sleeves and without, which is the Synergy version, and then you get yarn sent with the duster to knit a pair of sleeves if you like the idea of having that different texture. But of course it can be worn like this, and especially with a dress with sleeves, it works a treat. And doesn't that look fab? Because there is natural undyed linen, of course, in the small check, the natural check I mean, and as well as greenish tints like this one. It'll work a treat with sage, and a really nice and kind of soft palette for into autumn. Now, of course, we've got the natural check as play suits as well, which of course can be worn underneath the sage dress, as well as baggies. So you could wear this sage dress with a pair of the natural check baggies if you wanted to mute down the whole outfit a little bit more. Of course, we can go in the opposite direction as well. As a great neutral, as a starting point, we can also bring in more color. So let me jazz it up and bring some more color into this outfit. And here we are. Sage dress and a pair of the palazzos in the bitter lime. Now, palazzos in bitter lime, again, have a color in common with the sage, because bitter lime is a cross weave of the green that's also in the sage, so the apple green, together with like a fawny tobacco-like brown, and that creates the bitter lime. So, hence going beautifully, of course, with sage. And then I've brought back that brightness and the strength of the bitter lime with a duster in the small check, short duster in the small check. But of course, I could keep that Synergy, that long Synergy duster in those soft colors on, and have that together with the bitter lime and the dress. That would work together as an outfit as well. You can go in different directions, and you don't have to change everything around your central garment in order to create a different color story. You can do that in steps rather than in big jumps. I'm just trying to get through a lot of different options for you to hopefully inspire you without making this another super duper long episode, although I think we're probably going in that direction again already. So hopefully you're bearing with me. Now, let's move on to the last color, because this was the sage, and I've got one color left. I'm very excited about it, of course. For those of you who've seen my newsletter, you know what's coming. Color called magenta, and they really don't come any brighter than that. Let me show you. Starting off again with bright magenta. I'm so thrilled with this color, not just because it's bright and not just because it's pink, but because I've managed to find another color that is really bright without being loud somehow. There's a warmth and a sophistication to this color, and that's what I try to do across the collection, to keep things sophisticated. And I don't really know how to describe what I mean with that. It's the opposite of garish, I think. So I hope you like this color too. I'm combining it with chartreuse here and with bitter lime, just to show you like something that's a little bit darker on that green spectrum and something that's really bright and light and loud in its own way with the chartreuse. And then against that pink, of course, the chartreuse really pinks up the dress. The dress is a size 1 regular and the top is a size 2 regular. So this is where you can see that, you know, you get a tiny bit of bunching, if you like, of the sleeves being pulled into the dress at the armholes, but not in a way that you think, yeah, you can't wear that, it looks stupid. And I can darken that up a little bit by grabbing that duster again in the small check. Let me quickly get it. So where the chartreuse love top, of course, is really, really bright, you can tone that down with the small check. Poor plant is really getting it again today. And then I just realized from the corner of my eye that here is the cottage garden colorway of the super duper long shawl design, knitted in linen. So you can bring that in as well to complement the colors further. The pinks, the reds, the greens that you have in the small check, and then bringing them back in a completely different texture, completely different kind of accessory in this case. Can either tuck it underneath, just showing you here that we have made the neckline of the duster such that you can tuck shawls in underneath without it being tight, or you can wear the duster underneath and have the shawls hanging over the top, tucked over the top like you see here. And then in combination with that glorious magenta and the bitter lime at the bottom. What do we think? So I will now show you that same dress, that same color I should say, the magenta color, but then as a love dress. And I've got a love dress in the petite and in the regular length, so I can show you the comparison. I'll start with the petite so you can see the length difference between the regular. This is the regular, which has got the same length, regular tulip dress, which has got the same length as the regular love dress. But I'm now going to put on the petite love dress. And of course, this is also in the tulip dress, available in the petite length. So taking the scarfie off, and the duster, because I really want to show you the dress by itself, worn with the trousers and in the petite length first. Here we go. Petite length love dress, size 1 in the magenta. And just to remind you, it's not just 4 inches shorter at the bottom. The petite love dress is, and the petite tulip dress would be the same, are just knee length on me, so more like a tunic almost. But it is proportionally shorter, not just at the bottom, but shorter throughout. That means that the waistline is higher. This length between the top of the shoulder to the tip of the bust is shorter. The pockets are a little bit higher than they are on the regular length dress. And that is all because the idea between the different lengths of dresses is to firstly serve people of different heights and make the dresses look great on them. And then the second benefit is that because everything is curvy and roomy to begin with, you can then put those different length dresses on lots of different frames. So even though the idea of the petite length dress is somebody who is 5'5" or below in length, in height, I mean, I, with my 5'10", could still wear this dress and wear it comfortably, and it looks all right, even though it's not designed for my proportions. And that is something to keep in mind. If you normally wear a longer length and you order a shorter length and you think, hang on a minute, the pockets are in a different place. Yes, they are, because the dress is proportionally shorter, not just in length. So it shouldn't make such a difference that if you normally wear a shorter length dress and you go to something longer, all of a sudden it won't suit you and you won't be able to wear it. That's not how big the differences are, but it works the other way, that if you have different proportions because you are shorter, then you may find that the proportionally shorter dresses sit better on you. I hope that makes sense. So knee length on me, and look where the pockets hit. They are just about on, in my case, my hip bones, about 4 inches below my natural waist. And now I will swap this dress for the regular length dress, and I'll try and stand in exactly the same position so you can see the difference. And here is the regular length. So the pockets that were just on my hip bones on the petite length, they were here. And here they're a good 2.5 inches lower. You can see that. Of course, the hemline has gone down, but the entire silhouette of the dress is lower and longer. I hope you can see the difference. So, having gone through that explanation about the different lengths again, I also want to show you a couple of other pieces to wear with this very bright color, to rather than zhuzhing it up even further with something as bright as the chartreuse. Of course, you can go in the other direction and calm it down with lighter and calmer colors. So let me show you an example. Natural check baggies and a white shirt. Look how smart the whole outfit goes and how it calms down the brightness of the magenta color. Do you see though what I mean with sophisticated? Normally like white shirt, you do that with like, everybody thinks like navy or blue, for example, or even black to come up with a sophisticated look, but it can also be a really nice bright color like this, and then some bright lippy or a bright scarf, for example. I've been wearing this one throughout because I figured it's close enough to what I'm wearing, but I haven't actually actively combined the colors that are in this scarf with the colors of my outfit. It's just to show you how you can, with accessories, quite easily come up with something that matches and complements your outfit beautifully. So you can go in the other direction, of course, and bring in dark colors to have a different effect on the dress. However, I would say that especially the white linen, which of course is not optic white like the little tops are. The little love tops, the jersey love tops, are optic white. They're proper white. But white linen is never white. It's got a milkiness about it. And I believe that the milkiness in the white is a beautiful color to combine with magenta. Now, the reason that I'm highlighting that specifically is because that milky color is also very similar to the color of undyed wool. So keep in mind, if you like the idea of magenta and you think, well, what could I wear that with? Undyed or very pale colored wools are a beautiful combination. So wearing this into winter, for example, I could then combine that with a nice rugged cardigan that is an undyed linen, or a big cowl or a scarf, for example, to warm this up further. and magenta and undyed yarn or white linen, perfect combination. They just go really, really well. Whereas if you go in the other direction, if I would go in dark blue, for example, as you know, really dark colors, and then wear the dress on top, that makes the dress jump out more. So this calms the dress down. And black, even though it's a neutral color, or really dark blue, it wouldn't calm it down. It would kind of present the dress as a very bright color, whereas this white somehow tones it down a little bit. Why it works that way, I don't know. I'm just passing on what I have experienced and what you can see here, how it works. So I'll grab a duster just to finish off the outfit and bring another color, another calming color into the fold. Let me grab it now. I spotted that I have a long duster in the mist stripe in stock, so I thought, oh, I'll actually show that with the other bits to this outfit. Make sure that my scarf isn't messing up my collar, and of course I can either pull the collar over the top or leave it down. But here we are, the grays and the neutrals that are in the mist coming back in the natural check of the baggies, further decreasing the amount of magenta that you see in this outfit. Of course, I could pull the cuffs of the shirt over the top of both the sleeves of the love dress and the sleeves of the duster, because they're about the same length. Here we are. So you see that white coming back there again. And this could very easily be turned into an evening outfit by losing the shirt and losing the trousers and just having the very simple dress with the classic and classy look of the duster. Beautiful evening outfit. Shall I show you? Why not? Nice one to finish on. And here it is. Love dress. Could have been the tulip dress, of course. If it's still warm and you want to be able to bare some shoulders, then have the magenta in the tulip dress rather than the love dress, and then wear it with a duster like this one. Any of the other summer dusters that I did would work beautifully as well. The starling or the magpie stripe work a treat in combination with the magenta. I will bring them back in future episodes again to show you more combinations. But I hope I've given you a nice example of different colors that you can wear these new dresses with. As always, any questions, give me a shout. Very happy to help in terms of color combinations, in terms of sizing. I actually have a couple of emails to answer now. People asking about, does this color go with that and whatever? And I'll show you examples of fabrics, or I'll pop some in the mail to you. But the easiest thing is for me to just take some photographs and send them to you if you're not sure about colors to wear together. And always happy to help, either on the phone or by email or by text, however you choose to contact me. And I will see you again soon.